Hi, AnyQuest here. The story starts with this dude and this chick going on a date. They got this crazy idea to jump into a hardcore river together, tied up and all so they can be together forever. But Dan Fate pulls a nasty trick on them because out of nowhere, this evil truck Cohen rolls up, smashing through the forest like a madman and takes them both out. Fast forward a bit, our main man, Osamu, wakes up and he's straight up mind blown by what he sees. This fine lady explains it ain't heaven, but she's a guide for peeps like him who end up in this world. She goes by Annette, and she spills that Osamu got chosen and transported to this whole new world. A fearsome dragon flies by as Annette explains that this world is all dark and messed up, and Osamu's got to be the hero and bring some damn light to it. But Osamu doesn't see himself as no hero. He was just some regular dude trying to off himself with his girl, and now he's stuck in this strange-ass world. Annette's getting ready to give him some motivational speech to make him want to be a hero, but she's straight up shocked when Osamu does his thing and ODs on some poison pills. Annette cleanses his body of the toxins, but Osamu says that she's just bothering him. Annette straight up demands that Osamu become a hero and fulfill his crazy mission of saving this messed up world. But Osamu is just looking for a way to stop living, so he keeps munching on the pills, but Annette reminds him that he's the freaking chosen one. Osamu fires back, saying he never asked to be chosen. But Annette drops the knowledge that Truck Kun is actually a truck from another world that does some selection stuff. Out of all the unhappy people in Osamu's old world, only the ones struck by Otherworld Truck Kun get a chance to redo their lives in this new world. It's like a freaking world transfer service from Annette's world. Getting hit by Truck Kun means he was feeling hella miserable in his old life, so he got this chance in the new world. Osamu finishes off popping some more pills and he's all pissed, saying that dumb truck messed up the happiest moment of his life, his plan to peace out. He straight up tells Annette they ain't got no right to decide who's unhappy. But from her perspective, she saved him from a life so damn miserable that he was ready to end it all. Annette eventually decides Osamu's whining ain't worth jack because he's bound to change his tune once he peeps his stats. Every single human brought to her world gets gifted with some crazy superhuman powers. But damn, she's shocked when she finds out Osamu's weak as hell. Dude's got only one measly hit point and he is also still poisoned even after she detaxed him. Annette straight up can't believe someone could be this weak, so she goes on a desperate search, hoping to find some special skill or badass ability in Osamu. And damn, she's horrified when she discovers he's got absolutely nothing. She's never seen such a weak otherworlder in her life. Sick as a dog, Osamu tries to bounce, but Annette stops him and finally admits he must have ended up in this world by mistake. She figures that he won't be able to survive in this world, and she's shocked when Osamu finally shows a bit of confidence. He straight up tells her that what she just said sounds more like his real life. Osamu explains that he's always been labeled a failure, no matter which damn world he's in. Annette apologizes again for the screw-up and asks him to stick around for a bit. This world's mad dangerous, filled with monsters and whatnot, so his life's gonna be over the second he steps outside. But Annette's stunned when Osamu tells her not to sweat it because he's looking for his final resting place anyway. The reason she's so shocked is because Osamu is unlike anyone else she's ever met. Annette used to take pride in guiding otherworlders, getting all hyped up to meet them. But soon she realized how stuck up and full of themselves they were. She felt like all she did was kiss heroes' asses all day, so she shut herself off. But now her whole world's been flipped because Osamu's a whole different breed. Osamu gets ready to step into the dangerous new world, but Annette begs him to at least choose a profession first. Dude straight up declares he doesn't need a profession because he's born a Dan writer. And with that, he bids farewell to the girl with the beautiful ears. As he leaves, Annette dramatically declares that she finally gets it. The thing she's been waiting for all along was for this man to enter her life. Outside, Osamu realizes he can't read the writing in this world, but he knows there ain't gonna be any cafes for him to chill at. Suddenly, a voice pops into his head, announcing that he scored 5 experience points for discovering a new area. Osamu wishes that annoying voice would shut up because he's got migraines and all. But then an even louder voice declares that Osamu leveled up to level 2. Just then, a tree comes crashing down and a girl screams as she gets attacked by a monster. She pleads with Osamu to help her because he's an adventurer, but Osamu just stares at her, thinking about how people in this world got some funky ear shapes. She keeps begging for his aid, but Osamu straight up asks for her permission to write a novel about her. Eventually, Osamu realizes that she actually wants him to save her, so he tells her to hold on a second. He half-heartedly tries to reach out to her, but ends up saying he can't reach out. She asks him to use a sword or cast a spell or something, but the monster grabs hold of Osamu too. All he says is that he can't breathe, and the girl explains that the tree is siphoning their life force. They only have a few minutes left before their lives are over, but Osamu says that's a damn good news. He finds joy in his final moments and says his goodbyes to the world. The girl begs him not to give up, but Osamu ain't responding at all. She's stunned that her life's gonna end in such a weird way, but she's even more shocked when the tree gets engulfed in darkness and explodes. Osamu, against all odds, is still alive, much to his disappointment. And that voice announces that Osamu dealt 300 damage with his poison. The girl is straight up blown away as this dude, in the midst of this epic adventure, takes down the monster by making it absorb his poison instead of his life force. Osamu levels up to level 3, and the girl wonders if he is poisoning himself. Then she starts wondering why he's fronting like he is weak when he is actually pretty damn strong. But Osamu explains that this kind of crap always happens to him. Dude wants to stop existing, but somehow he keeps surviving. He's tried to off himself to the afterlife 5 times, but it never goes right. At one point, the girl has no clue why he's so down in the dumps, but she's grateful he saved her life, so she thanks him. She offers to take him to her house so he can rest, and he introduces himself. But when Osamu touches her hand, he's reminded of his girl Sachin and wonders if she ended up in this world too. The girl gets all pissed and tells him her name is not Sachin. She tries to drop her real name on him, but Osamu's already daydreaming about Sachin. The girl gets hella frustrated because he's straight up ignoring her, but he got a legit reason. Osamu just found a purpose to live in this new world. He goes over his last memory with his girl and declares that he's gonna find Sachin wherever she is in this world. His declaration ain't exactly what it seems because he wanna find her so they can commit double unalive again. Meanwhile, Annette is praying to the god of her world, hoping they protect Osamu. She also wishing to meet him again someday, and her wish comes true when Osamu comes back. She couldn't be happier to see him, but she's straight up shocked when his new cat girlfriend is there too. Annette can't even believe he already has a girl by his side. But she keeps it cool because Osamu has a question. He want to know if Annette met a girl named Sachin. Annette is straight up horrified to hear there's a third woman in the mix. Osamu bounces because Annette got no info on Sachin, but the cat girl reassures him he gonna find her. She want to swing by the castle town of Roth before hitting her house, but she is shocked when Annette appears, trying to stop them from holding hands. Annette thinking that's some shameless behavior, but the cat just want to know why Annette tagging along. Annette is too shy to answer, so the cat figures it out. She must be in love with Osamu. Of course, Annette denies it and says it's just her job to protect the weak otherworlder. Being an otherworlder is why the cat realizes Osamu is so damn strong. But Annette says that he is actually weak as hell. The two start arguing about how weak he is, but the cat spittles that Osamu killed a monster and saved her life. Annette is horrified because saving her life means they got close, and she starts calling the girl a thieving cat. Right then, Osamu announces he found something dope, a real comfy bed. But it's actually a freaking coffin, and he tells the girls to wake him up when they reach the town. Osamu says goodnight to Annette and Tama, but the cat is all mad because that ain't her name. Osamu was already knocked out though, and Annette shyly points out that he called her the right name. So Annette takes on the task of dragging Osamu in his coffin, but Tama wonders if that really her job as a clergyperson. As they keep walking, Tama's getting fed up with driving that damn coffin around, so she tells Osamu to get out and walk on his own 2 feet. But there's no response, and she starts worrying that Osamu might have actually kicked the bucket somehow. Annette checks his stats, and Osamu seems to be fine, so he's probably just knocked out. They're pretty close to the castle anyways, so Annette asks Tama to suck it up a bit longer so they don't have to wake him up. Meanwhile, inside the coffin, Osamu's peacefully dreaming about his beloved Sachin. And no matter where she is, he's gonna find her so they can both die together. A while later, they finally reach Roth, the castle town. Annette and Tama open up the coffin to let Osamu out. Osamu takes a look around the town, and he's damn sure now that he ain't in the same world no more. But before they do anything else, Annette suggests they head to the castle and have an audience with the king, but they end up leaving the coffin right in the middle of the road. At the castle, King Thomas and his daughter Charlotte are happy to meet them. And since they gotta be dead tired from a long-ass journey, the king offers them all a place to crash in the castle chambers for the night. But before that, he wants to hear some of Osamu's pleasant experiences. Osamu can't think of too many pleasant things to talk about, but he did enjoy that coffin ride gear, so he tells the king he's gonna show him what it's like to sleep in a coffin. Out of context, that might sound like a threat and all, but Annette quickly switches gears and compliments Charlotte on how fine she looks. The king mentions that Charlotte's actually getting married soon, so he's looking for some advice about her suitors. Thomas calls for the dudes to be brought in, and that's when we meet the warrior Gomes and the wandering minstrel of love Otto. Lately, because of the wrath of the demon lord's influence, monster activity's gone through the roof, but Thomas is too damn old to handle it himself, so he decides one of these two fellas is gonna become Charlotte's husband and the next king of Roth. Problem is, Charlotte ain't too keen on the idea because she ain't picked a husband yet. That's why he's leaving the choice to a bunch of strangers he just met 10 damn minutes ago. He's making them choose between Gomes and Otto to marry Charlotte. But when the choice pops up, Osamu does the smart thing and says he's never met these dudes before. Charlotte's whole future depends on this decision, so it's stupid to trust a bunch of strangers with it. And if you do something like this without even thinking twice, then he ain't fit to be king. The king's left in shock, and after saying that, Osamu turns to bounce while Annette and Tama are frantically trying to apologize for Osamu's actions. They try to explain that Osamu's from another world, so he can be a bit blunt sometimes. But the king says it's cool because he ain't the type to hold a grudge, and it seems like Charlotte's taken a liking to him. Later that night, while everyone else is knocked out, Osamu spends his time gazing out the window. So Annette gets up and asks if he's having trouble falling asleep. Osamu tells her he just never sleeps well. Annette wants to seize the moment to learn more about Osamu, so she asks him to spill about Sachin. But then she peeks a tail popping out from under Osamu's sheets, so she yanks off the covers and sees Tama snoozing on Osamu's thighs. She ain't having none of that shenanigans unless she's the one sleeping with Osamu, so she grabs a pillow and smacks Tama to wake her up. Tama defends herself, saying it's chilly and she's part cat, so it's totally normal for her to snuggle up to people for warmth. While Annette and Tama keep going at it over this, Osamu gets up and dips out of the room because of all the ruckus. And as he steps into the hallway, he notices a dope-ass light. So he steps outside to peep the lake, and wouldn't you know it, Charlotte's chilling there too. When she spots Osamu, she invites him to vibe with her and enjoy the lake because it's a beautiful night. Osamu agrees, saying the place is so damn beautiful that it makes him feel like he wants to take a forever dive in the lake. Charlotte's shocked to hear him say that and asks if Osamu's got enough problems to make him one off himself. But from what Osamu's seen so far, Charlotte seems like way more trouble than him. After a bit of silence, Charlotte opens up to Osamu, spilling that she can't make up her damn mind about Gomes and Otto. Gomes just got to the castle, but he's already the most dependable soldier they got. And her dad believes in Gomes' strength, so she thinks she should probably go with him. But Otto has been her homie since they were kids, and whenever she felt down, he read her a song and play it to lift her spirits. She doesn't know if she should choose a hubby she loves or one who'd be the strongest king for her dad's sake. Osamu chuckles to himself and says Charlotte's hella kind for worrying about her dad's opinion this much, unlike Osamu, who's tried to cancel his subscription to Life multiple times, always causing problems for his family in the process, but he's never let someone else decide how he's gonna live his life. He thinks Charlotte should make a decision based on what she wants, and to do that, she gotta figure out her true desires. The next day, King Thomas summons Osamu and the crew back to the throne room. He apologizes for the inconvenience, but says he's calling them there because Charlotte's finally made up her mind about who she's gonna marry. He wants them to be witnesses to her choice. Annette is convinced Charlotte's gonna pick Gomes because she's likely to put the kingdom's needs before her own. Tama, on the other hand, thinks Otto's a way better match for her. Thomas tells Charlotte to walk up to the man she's chosen and speak her vows to him. So Charlotte starts walking, but instead of going to Otto or Gomes, she grabs Osamu's hand and says she wants to drown in the lake with him. Nobody can believe their ears, especially Annette, who collapses to the ground. Charlotte goes on to explain her reasons, saying that after talking with Osamu last night, she thought long and hard about who to choose, and that made her realize something. At first, she was leaning towards picking Otto because he always sang to her when she was feeling down. But now she remembers he'd sing to her even when she wasn't sad. He was even singing last night, and he never said he was in love with her. So he probably just wanted to perform his latest song for someone, and Charlotte happened to be there to listen. And as for Gomes, he's a no-go because he stinks something fierce. The king straight up be asking Charlotte to think again and choose a damn husband. But that's some crazy-ass shit to worry about because she already said she wanted to die with Osamu. Charlotte ain't taking none of that and snaps back at Thomas, telling him it was a dumbass move to force her into marrying someone without even asking for her opinion, like she never even wanted him married in the first place. Thomas never took a moment to consider her damn feelings, but Osamu, he actually gave a damn about what she thought and respected her decision. Now, Osamu is why Charlotte picked his ass, but before he can respond, Gomes takes off his helmet and says he never would have thought his cover would get blown because of his stench. Then he transforms to his true form as a servant of the Dark Lord and starts spilling that he planned to snatch up this kingdom by becoming its king and handing it over to the Dark Lord. But that shit's all ruined now that Charlotte saw through his disguise. Osamu looks at Charlotte and asks if she figured out Gomes was a freaking demon, but she ain't got a freaking clue. She just said he stank because he really does stink. That means Gomes blew his cover for no good reason, but he ain't ready to admit he messed up. Now that his cover's blown, he says he'll just kill them all. This is the kind of situation where a badass priestess would be hella useful, but she's still knocked the hell out. Tama tries to wake her up while Gomes is busy dealing with the guards. But damn, the guards ain't lasting long, so Tama has got to grab Annette's body and bounce to avoid getting squashed by a freaking pillar. Since Annette won't be waking up anytime soon, Tama takes matters into her own hands and starts throwing down with Gomes. She's level 14, so she should be able to hold her own in a fight. And since she'll go against him, Otto offers to play her a song because he's rocking at level 89. Normally, it would give her a boost, but turns out Otto's just playing his freshest track, and it ain't got no special effects, but Osamu seems to be liking that hood classic song. Tama ain't got no other choice but to start whooping ass on her own. As Gomes charges at her, Tama ducks and lands a kick straight to his face. She follows it up with a cat punch, but it doesn't do much damage to Gomes, so he sends Tama flying in return. He then says he's going to put everything into his next attack and tear Tama to shreds. But before he can do that, Osamu grabs his attention and asks Gomes to eliminate him and Charlotte first. Gomes thinks Osamu's playing around, but Osamu tells him that now that Charlotte's free from her dumbass father's grip, her first wish is to go out with a bang alongside of Osamu. And Osamu ain't one to pass up a chance to die, so he asks Gomes to do him this favor. Gomes agrees to off him, but he says after that he's gonna take out the king and burn the whole damn city to the ground, taking out everyone in it. Osamu doesn't give a damn about what Gomes does because he'll be dead by then anyway, but Charlotte's starting to have second thoughts about biting the dust. As Gomes charges at them, she tells Osamu that she can't let herself die just yet because she wants to stay alive and protect the kingdom. Osamu's glad to hear that Charlotte finally knows what she really wants. Just when she wants to stay alive, he pushes her out of harm's way and takes the full brunt of the attack himself as Gomes keeps charging straight at Osamu. Charlotte tries to convince him not to get himself impaled, but luckily, right at that moment, Anna wakes up and uses her power to create a shield of light to protect Osamu from Gomes' strike. She's vowed to never let Osamu die as long as she's by his side. So as Gomes tries to break through her shield, he ends up shattering his damn horns in the process. Now that Gomes is defenseless, Tama lands a blow that sends him flying through the castle wall and into the freaking lake. Both Tama and Annette are relieved they made it through, and since Anna really came through for Tama, Tama feels the need to show her some appreciation. Annette also thanks Tama for her help, and the two of them seem to be getting along a whole lot better now. And Otto is still here, playing his heart out like he doesn't have a care in the world. Charlotte's got a lot to process after that crazy incident, but then her dad rushes up to her, begging for forgiveness for not giving a damn about her feelings before. Osamu was right about Thomas not being fit to be king, and now Thomas realizes he ain't even fit to be Charlotte's father. So he sincerely asks Charlotte if she's willing to forgive him. Charlotte gets down and tells her old man that she forgives him. And from now on, she wants to have a lot of talks with him about the future of this kingdom and their own selves. Thomas is mad happy that he made amends with Charlotte, and Charlotte's thrilled her pops finally gets where she's coming from. But all Osamu can think about is how Annette and Tama messed up his perfect chance for a game over. A while later, Thomas admits he ain't cut out to rule the kingdom, so he gives up the throne to Charlotte, who's now doing everything in her power to keep the kingdom safe. And Otto's still cooking up tunes because he ain't got nothing better to do. Meanwhile, Annette and Tama are busy hauling Osamu's coffin to their next stop, chatting about how bold it was for Charlotte to become queen at 16, but they're sure it's gonna work out somehow. Osamu pops out of the coffin and says what really matters is that Charlotte made the decision for herself and she's standing by it, and that's something Osamu finds beautiful. After dragging Osamu around for a long time, Tama asks Annette if they can chill because she's beat. They put some serious miles behind them, so Annette figures it's cool to take a breather. Once they stop, Osamu cracks open the coffin and wonders if it's food time yet. Annette offers him some bread, but this dude Osamu's all about that boiled tofu, so if she ain't got any, he's just gonna go back to sleep. After the break, Tama asks how much longer till they hit the house, and since Annette's holding the map, she says it looks like we got a few more days before they reach her hometown. But before that, Annette asks to make a stop at this Whiten Temple. Tama ain't care about the delay, but she asks why Annette needs to go there, prompting her to start explaining the Ice Cat process. Usually, peeps from other worlds come into this realm through one of 4 temples and then head off to battle the Dark Lord. But since Osamu's mission is to find Sachin instead of taking down the Dark Lord, Annette wants to check out the temples to see if they can dig up any info on where Sachin's at. But if luck ain't on their side, they might have to globe-trot their way around. But Annette's all in, ready to ditch it all for Osamu. Real talk, she ain't want Osamu going toe-to-toe with the Dark Lord, even though it's her job to convince folks to do just that. She's just looking out for Osamu, not trying to see him in harm's way. Tama calls her out, saying she's smitten with Osamu. Annette denies any impure intentions, even if it's painfully obvious at this point. She claims Osamu breathed new life into her work when she was feeling burnt out, so now she's on a mission to help him find his missing person. That's all. Tama asks if that means Annette would be cool if she found out Sachin was actually Osamu's lover or something. Even though the thought hurts, Annette still wants to see it for herself. By the way, Tama was wondering if Annette can even roll into this Whiten Temple since she dipped out on her job for this road trip. Annette ain't sweating it because she's tight with the head honcho at this Whiten Temple, and it ain't like she coasted her work either. She had her familiars drop off her official resignation letter for her. And coincidentally, that same familiar is back and munching on Osamu's head. After patching up Osamu, Annette gripes about her sidekick always stirring up trouble. And now that she's vocalizing it, she's realizing it was a mistake letting that thing handle the delivery of her resignation letter. Her suspicions hit the bullseye when her familiar vomits her letter, making it seem like she coasted her work without a heads up, and she's pointing fingers straight at the familiar. Watching the familiar fail so hard at its one job lights up Osamu's face with a smile, seeing as he's a bit of a failure himself. So he names it Mellows, and Mellows takes an instant liking to Osamu. But Osamu ain't really in the market for a pet, so he just dips back into his coffin. Meanwhile, Annette's losing it over bailing on her job without notice, knowing the temple's gonna shut down her unemployment claim later. Right then, Mellows starts acting sketchy and soon bolts, signaling something's off. But it ain't until a dragon swoops down from the peak that they connect the dots on what Mellows was trying to warn them about. A dragon ranks as the baddest beast around, leaving Annette clueless on how to handle it. But before the dragon goes berserk, a chick pops up behind Annette and Tama, commanding Kohadin to stop attacking random people. The chick then strolls up to the dragon, giving it a pet, leaving Annette and Tama dumbfounded. They've never seen anyone tame a dragon, so they ask who she is. But she just turns to them, saying the area is crawling with monsters, warning them to leave before they get hurt, and seems like one of their crewmates already bit the dust. Annette apologizes for the mix-up and clarifies that Osamu's still kicking is just a quirky otherworlder who's into napping in a coffin. The moment the chick learns Osamu's not from around here, a switch flips in her head, tossing off her cloak to reveal she's a dragon girl, vowing to wipe out all the otherworlders. The sheer power radiating from her is off the charts, so when she zaps a blast their way, Annette barely manages to block it for a hot second with her shield. But her shield ain't cutting it as the blast still packs a punch. They're left scattered on the ground, realizing this dragon chick's power is on a whole another level. Still, they ain't backing down when it comes to protecting Osamu, so they rise up ready to throw hands once again. But this dragon girl ain't having none of their interference, so she brings down heavy pressure, forcing them back to the floor. While they're pinned, she stands over them, letting Annette peep the mark on her neck, a mark Annette knows is that of the wrathful Dark Lord. This Dark Lord's about to end Annette and Tama, but before she can do the deed, Osamu steps up, telling her to chill with the violence towards the others. He tells her she's got beef with folks from other worlds, and that means the one she's after is him. Osamu tells her she can do whatever she pleases to him, and since he ain't resisting, the Dark Lord agrees to leave the others be. In a split second, she punches right through Osamu's chest. As he hits the floor, this Dark Lord declares herself as Waldelia, telling Osamu to rest in peace forever. But as she's bouncing, Osamu gets back up, laughing at the fact she actually stabbed him. He can sense the hate in her because he once felt the same, even had thoughts of stabbing someone. Dude went as far as penning a threatening letter back in the day, so he knows how it feels to be consumed by hate. Waldelia is getting spooked now, but Osamu keeps pushing closer and touches her cheek, dropping that dying man charm. He says he's down to hear her story, but Waldelia ain't fallen for his game that easy. She calls for her ride Kohadin to scoop her before things escalate. Once she dips, Osamu hits the ground again, because his chest wound is still wide open. But Mellows ain't gossing just yet, finally pulling his weight and hauling them to the temple. Isha sees Annette's messed up, rushing to her side. But Annette asks her to take care of Osamu first because he's in worse shape. Isha sees it's really bad, so she calls for every potion and priest available to help Osamu recover. The next day rolls around and Osamu's back on his feet, but he ain't cool with that. So the first move he pulls is snagging a bottle of poison to drink. While he's on that mission, Annette gives props to Isha for all her help and promises to return the favor down the line. Annette then drops a question about this otherworlder named Sachin to Isha, but Isha's drawing a blank on that name. Isha figures Sachin must be posted up at some other temple. More importantly, Isha asks Annette why she's suddenly rolling with an otherworlder. She was shocked when she heard Annette bailed on her work, but deep down she's low-key relieved because she knew Annette was too soft-hearted for that line of work. But Isha ain't down with Annette teaming up with an otherworlder because she's seen firsthand that most of them are just shady characters. These folks get divine gifts to take down the Dark Lord, but they all call their gifts as overpowered skills and use them for dumb shit like starting a failing rap career. One of these jokers is called Kotaro, and he was unfortunately given the power to destroy the world's economy by mass-producing gold coins like crazy. He tries to charm the girls by offering to buy them whatever they want in exchange for a good time, but Isha ain't having it. She tosses his gold right back to his face and tells him to bounce because she's in the middle of a serious chat. Kotaro was a headache, but he kind of proved his own point that otherworlders aren't good people. Annette tries to vouch for Osamu, claiming he's not cut from the same cloth as the rest of them, but Isha ain't buying it because Osamu's vibes scream trouble. Isha warns Annette that sticking by Osamu will lead to ruin, but Annette stands firm that Osamu ain't a bad influence because she's seen herself change for the better since linking up with him. But Annette's defense about Osamu being a positive force takes a hit when he rolls up asking for cash to score drugs, and she gladly hands him whatever he needs. Isha starts thinking Annette might be too deep in the mix if she's already this tied to Osamu. Isha's at least curious about Osamu's gift, but she's thrown for a loop when Annette spills that Osamu ain't got no gift at all. Even though he ain't got no gift, Osamu still put himself on the line to shield Annette and Tama from the Dark Lord. But this news hits Isha even harder because the Dark Lord supposedly bit the dust 7 days back at the hands of some otherworlders. Next thing you know, we're peeping the throne all stained up from the former Dark Lord's blood, with the otherworlder who took him out chilling on it. Meanwhile, Waldelia is lurking in the shadows, swearing to avenge her old man's death. Later on, Annette links up with Tama and drops the bomb that the Dark Lord got taken out a week back. Isha got wind of it from the church recently, and it's a dope deal because it means peace might finally be settling over Zauberberg. But if the Dark Lord's really dead, then who was trying to off him earlier? Annette ain't got the answer to that one. And now that Tama's thinking it over, didn't Osamu roll up 7 days ago too? If the Dark Lord was already done for by then, why'd they still bring Osamu into the mix? Right then, Osamu tears up his notes and falls on the floor, so Tama's checking in on what's wrong with him this time. He spills that he's been struggling to write all the craziness that's gone down since he touched down in this world. Annette asks if he wrote anything about her, but Osamu admits he didn't jot a single word about her. If anything, he felt a burst of inspiration after crossing paths with Waldelia, hoping for that same spark to ignite creativity again, but Tama says she's not going to do any dangerous shit with him. Annette suggests they all dip into town to unwind, and with her future with Osamu in mind, there's a few things she wants to snag for him. Once they hit the town, Annette scoops up a heavy set of armor for Osamu to keep him safe and sound. Osamu ain't tripping because the snub fit reminds him of his coffin. With Osamu locked in tight, Annette and Tama jet off to do some more shopping. So Annette warns Osamu to stay put while they're out. A while later, Yusha's walking through town when she spots a crew of kids gathered around a massive suit of armor, and she's shocked to find Osamu snugly sitting inside. Rushing off the curiosity about why he's rocking that heavy gear, Yusha drops the bomb that she's got something to chat with Osamu about. She lays it down that from here on out, Annette's leaving with her because she's convinced sticking with Osamu will only lead to misery. Yusha orders Osamu to cut ties with Annette immediately. But Osamu just flashes a smile and tells her that it's Annette's call whether she stays with him or not. Yusha can't make that call for her. Plus, how can Yusha be so certain Osamu's gonna bring Annette down when she knows any shit about him? And just because he's an otherworlder, Yusha's jumping to conclusions that Annette's better off without him. Right then, Misha catches a weird sound, and as she goes to check it out, she catches Kotaro bringing in another otherworlder called Suzuki to the scene. Suzuki spills to the crowd that the Dark Lord finally got taken down, so the whole crew starts cheering for the otherworlders, who set them free from the Dark Lord's grip. But Suzuki corrects them because he ain't calling it freedom. It's more like they got a new boss in town. He declares that from now on, the otherworlders are running the show, and he's taking charge of the town, so he demands everyone bow down to him. Just then, Kotaro spots Annette and calls her out for being one of the elves who smacked his face with coins. So Suzuki jumps up and starts barking at her for laying a hand on an otherworlder, and he's making it crystal clear that she won't be pulling a stunt like that again. That's it for this video, guys. If you like this new series, leave a like for the next episode, and subscribe for more Anon content. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.